Yo, what's poppin', what's crack-a-lackin', what's really good? Thank you for listening to The Rope Break, your source for news, opinions, and everything else that revolves around the world of professional wrestling. It is I, the quintessential stud muffin. I got a horse mouth and a horse cock, and I am rolling with the Plaster Blaster, Shockmaster Grizz. Say what up to him, Grizz.
That was inappropriate.
Yeah, I know, really inappropriate, but only the inappropriate people, the marks, if you will be listening to this review of NEW Wrestling.
This is definitely just a review of a local show, which actually I'm pretty fond of the idea. I think that the Rope Break is the champion of independent wrestling in the podcast world of Connecticut. Tell me who else is doing this.
It is just us. It is you and I.
Which is either awesome or not.
But like you said, it is the podcast in the realm of Connecticut wrestling, and what better company to cover than Northeast Wrestling.
Located in Bethany.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I think they're located in like Newburgh.
Oh.
But they operate mostly out of Bethany.
They said that's their like home.
That is their home
court.
Because it's like when they can play there whenever they want, and they can do whatever they want with that. But tonight's event, I'm sorry, by the way, like I said, I have a horse voice and a horse cock, so you can deal with that. I said that twice. In the first
We're still going.
10 minutes. All right.
Looks like it's still recording.
It is.
Okay.
So tonight's event was called Future of Flight, and there's a reason for that, mainly because of the main event. It was at the Danbury Police Athletic League building in Danbury, Connecticut, as always, where the PAL is in Danbury. The Danbury PAL is in Danbury, Connecticut.
Usually.
Jesus, this is going off the rails already because my voice hurts. But great show. The main event tonight was Cody versus Ricochet. It delivered. Before we get into that, let's break down the rest of the card.
Sure.
Match number 1 saw Flip Gordon.
My dude.
Like Flip
They're
Gordon.
both my dudes. Both of these guys are great. I love both of these guys. They wrestle each other a whole hell of a lot.
As we heard from
Alan Solavka, who actually is he has the Metal Syndicate podcast, which is about Connecticut metal.
Oh, he's the Metal Syndicate guy?
Well, there's two of them.
Right.
One of the Metal Syndicate guys does the League of Extraordinary Frontmen with Scott.
Okay, that's the one I'm
from
familiar
Crossing
with.
Rubicon.
Yes.
Then the other one is Alan, who is goes to Cherry Street all the time, sees bands all the time. These guys are all very supportive of everything local, which is great, and that's what we're doing right now.
Very cool.
So Alan definitely was like, man, these guys fight a lot.
Before we get into this match, why don't you give us a little bit breakdown of what Flip Gordon is doing these days?
I can do that because Flip Gordon is actually a contracted Ring of Honor wrestler at this point. If you watch those Being the Elite videos that the Bullet Club does, it's hilarious because they're always picking on this guy. It's like grade school, Yeah. They're bullying him, and it's hilarious.
Yeah, that is very funny.
And I heard him talking about it today, and he's like, oh, man, those guys. And I'm like, it's hilarious. And he's like, yeah, no, it sucks. He's like, any press is good press, but like.
Sure. Yeah. Sure. So this was the opening match, and it was very good. As we mentioned before, these guys have wrestled each other before. One thing I was very impressed with was Bacon Hollister's, is Hollister, right?
Yeah.
Bacon Hollister's power. The dude has raw power,
which is one of his taglines on his trunks. So
okay, we saw a deadlift gut wrench, as you would see from like Cesaro.
Sure,
not many guys can pull that off.
We saw the from laying on his stomach German, even
as you would see from a Brock Lesnar.
Yep.
I've just mentioned Cesaro and Brock Lesnar.
Yeah,
who's going to compare strength with those guys?
Yeah, and this guy's real good. He's got the amateur background. It would appear. I don't know him, but.
Yeah, no, it was a great match, and Flip's got spots for days. And one thing I did see about this match, and throughout this card, to be honest with you, I mentioned it a couple times, is that they weren't working too hard right off the top of the bat. They let their show progress.
Yes.
And in a way that they got their stuff in, and it was a great match, but they didn't necessarily go overboard being the first match on the card, giving the crowd a chance to build to a certain thing.
You get to kind of ease into it, but still see a really good performance from both guys. And they have a few going anyway. And when NEW is at home in Bethany, there's a King of Bethany, and it was Flip. And Big Bacon kind of chicanery, stole the crown, so they have a feud going anyway.
So Flip was the king of Bethany, per se.
He was.
As we said,
Which is
Bethany is the NEW home, the home of NEW.
It's not a championship, but it is a title.
Sure.
It is only defended in Bethany, and Big Bacon fought Flip for it and didn't win it, but stole the crown.
Cool. So then, now this is a continuation of that feud, and it was a good match. We got Flip defeating Big Bacon, but I didn't see like anything with the crown in this.
Well, Big Bacon wore it down to the ring. He was holding it, and he was like, I love you.
Sure, I meant in the finish. In the finish of the match.
Yeah.
Okay. So it would be safe to assume that this feud is going to continue. But all in all, a very good opening match for the card.
I agree.
Moving on to Danbury's own Adira. I heard a little bit about her in the build for this particular event, and that she's a homegrown Danbury girl, and that she was trained by NEW mainstay Brian Anthony, as well as a few other guys that are involved in the promotion that you would expect. But pretty good showing here. She fought Karen Q, who is a wrestler that played a good heel. I didn't like that. I didn't like that she came out a little bit babyface. Like her entrance was a little too babyface. She hit the turnbuckles. She egged the crowd on, not in a heel way, and like let's go, let's cheer me on.
Yeah, I didn't. I'm not familiar with her. I had never seen her before. In fact, the last few times I've seen NEW, I haven't seen a woman who wasn't Mandy Leon or Deanna Purrazzo
or Blanchard. Right.
So
cool. So, but this was a match, and it was really good. And Adira did her very best to babyface to the home crowd and all that stuff. And they had some great spots in here.
She got some good noise.
Yeah, absolutely. So this crowd was hot at the beginning of this thing. That Flip Gordon match really set it off.
Yeah.
So Adira definitely came through for her hometown crowd and defeated Karen Q. Unlike what you said during the match.
Yeah, like pulling a.
The antithesis of what the WWE would do. They allowed this woman to win in her hometown.
Yeah. I wonder if they let Brian Anthony. We'll get there.
Ryback came out. He was booked heavily on this show. Let me tell you how much Ryback was booked on this show. Like, there are those little street signs, with the little metal things and the little cardboard fucking signs everywhere that say, like, in big letters, like Alberto Del Rio, now known as Alberto El Patron, like in little tiny letters, or the artist, the wrestler, or formerly known as Brodus Clay, now Tyrus, what have you. Ryback signs all over the place. Literally the same size as Cody Rhodes and Ricochet you would get Ryback and
it was
Jack Swagger.
Yeah.
So
you didn't have guys like Flip and Wrecking Ball who are there at every NEW show. They are not on the poster, but Ryback is.
And here's what I expected. I knew that Wrecking Ball, we already knew who Wrecking Ball was fighting tonight. But I didn't know. Did we? No, we didn't.
I don't think we did, but
we didn't. It was not booked. But I wanted to see that Wrecking Ball Ryback match. I mean, Ryback went on his podcast, national podcast, a lot of listeners, to say that he enjoyed his match with Wrecking Ball very much.
Sure.
So that's what I was hoping.
Yeah.
And Ryback came out
in really big clothes. Like really big clothes.
Yeah, it was as if he was like in the Wu-Tang Clan in 94. That's how baggy his shit was. And he came out and just proceeded to tell everyone he wasn't going to wrestle tonight.
Yeah, he's like, hey, guys, I'm not going to wrestle. I got fitness shit coming out.
The Secret. He literally mentioned The Secret.
No, he didn't.
Dude, he talked about how he believes in what he's going to do, and therefore, because he believes in what he's going to do, it's done. That's The Secret.
He's like, I'm a world champion somewhere.
Does that sound like a fucking secret to you? Is it a secret that I believe in what I'm going to do, so it happens? That is no secret. That is called work. You put in the work. That's not a secret. Anywho, I've never been a Ryback fan. In my opinion,
we were sitting next to this little kid who was wearing like a New Day t-shirt and Page gloves.
Good kid.
Good kid. I wish I knew his name. I feel bad now. His mom was super sweet. They were just chilling, watching the show.
I knew his name like 4 beers ago.
Yeah. And this kid, he was, I guess he told you that he only came to see Ryback wrestle? Some shit like that?
I don't think this is necessarily true. I think he's a wrestling fan.
Right.
I think he's a new wrestling fan. Very new.
He's wearing page gloves.
Very new. To the point where, at a certain point where we'll get to this, where there was a hip gyration, this little kid said that these were New Day knockoffs.
Right.
We've been watching hip gyration since the 60s.
Well, and since Rick Rude.
Well, yeah, but Gorgeous George and,
right.
and you know, so anyway, that's how new of a fan this kid is. And he said that so he's like, he turns to me and goes, Ryback's not wrestling? That's the whole reason I came. As if he's some sort of adult. And
poor kid.
Yeah, but anywho, Ryback, dude, he was never good. Like, for someone
the best match I ever saw Ryback wrestle was against the Man Scout Jake Manning for NEW, and that's because the Man Scout beat his ass. Alan Solavka, who we mentioned earlier, did not like that. He does not like the Man Scout, and that's because he has bad taste. Sorry, Alan. No, he doesn't. He's a good guy, but Ryback sucks.
Yeah, I just didn't think that it's like, for all the shit he talked about Punk, and then left for the same way, and then now
left the same way, and now he's complaining about his back, and it's like, bro, what did you say?
Very strange.
No, you said you never took a bump.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I got a little obnoxious and I yelled at Ryback that he never took a bump to begin with.
Oh, my back hurts.
He's like, I put the work in. I've been
doing meat hook clotheslines. Oh,
really?
That's how people get hurt.
Meat hook clotheslines. Jeff fucking Hardy is at the top of the goddamn game, jumping off of ladders. Still, Jeff Hardy is still jumping off of ladders, and Ryback can't throw a clothesline without hurting his back.
Hi, guys.
So anyway,
that was probably good.
Anywho,
it's good pod.
Clyde came out. He's a manager.
This is after Ryback retired to the back.
Correct.
You could only wish he would retire in general.
Period. Yeah.
So then the little guy who replaced the old guy, Marshall some shit, used to introduce Wrecking Ball. And then this little guy, who's a lot younger, does now. It's like he's doing an impression of the old guy. Like, he sounds exactly like him. His cadence is the same. His delivery is the same. His punctuation, his verbal delivery is exactly the same as this old guy. But it's even funnier and better because he's this little guy, and he's like, I'm the most powerful man in NEW. And you're like, you're tiny.
So, Ryback used to have one manager.
Wrecking Ball.
Oh, sorry. My bad.
Yeah.
Wrecking Ball
Wrecking
Legursky.
Ball's good. So.
Wrecking Ball Legursky.
Yeah.
Let me make that clear. Definitely 100% not fucking Ryback. Wrecking Ball Legursky used to have one manager.
Yep.
And now he's got this new guy, but his vernacular is the same. A lot of his delivery is the same. Okay. Yeah. So he came out and he, did his manager spiel that he's the most popular guy, powerful guy in NEW and all that. He definitely had a little bit of a gimmick infringement on a certain gimmick that happens to be in this room.
So he thought he could go out there and just say, like, I'm going to spell my last name, and you all have to listen, which I'm sure has probably been done a lot, but it was basically what I'm gonna do.
You know what it's reminiscent of?
Gonna do.
You know what the origination of that is?
Jericho's List?
No.
I know. Chris Jericho invented everything.
No. It's Nikolai making everyone rise and listen to the Russian national anthem.
Yeah.
That's that.
Yeah.
That's that. That's wrestling. That's wrestling 101.
It's fantastic.
Good shit. Wrecking Ball takes out a guy by the name of American Sumo, who, listen, these two guys could go.
I think his name's Chris Gamble.
Okay.
I don't know if it's Chris. It's definitely Gamble. It might be Brian Gamble or Chris Gamble. He trains at XWA from the Kingdom. And
that match I thought was as good as possible. Good. It was good.
Yeah, they had fun. We had fun. They both got their stuff in.
Wrecking Ball looks good.
He does.
Wrecking Ball is like
fucking giant.
He's huge and he's moving.
Cody Rhodes says he smells bad.
Really bad.
On the radio.
If you haven't heard that.
Not just on our podcast, but on the radio.
Yes. So if you haven't heard that twice. Because Ethan and Lou they worded the question a little differently. They were like, which wrestler do you actually hate? Because Lou is more brazen.
Do you remember when that pissed DDP off and he like stormed off of the radio and stuff?
Yes.
Yeah. So.
But that apparently, I think that's to a non-mark. I bet you that's a pretty standard thing.
Yeah.
Because you're going into this thing thinking like, all right, this is fake.
Yeah.
But we need some juice here. Yeah. We need some sort of controversy. So we're going to ask that.
So Ethan and Lou didn't get beat up.
So they didn't get beat up because Cody was on the phone. But they asked which one he hates, and he didn't even do the same spiel. But he talked about how much he hates the Wrecking Ball again.
Wow.
And he didn't even do the same reason.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so that was interesting. I think it sounded like not mean-spirited from
like
Cody.
We're saying with Flip, it's like, the elite, you got to mess with the young guys.
Sure. So moving on, speaking of the Kingdom, Vic Delicious comes out without his tag team partner.
Well, and before this, there was actually a video promo of Vic Delicious talking about the Marseglia.
Oh,
and you don't scare me. You love these horror movies. Welcome, blah, blah, blah. And then there was another promo of Vinny Marseglia with the whole shit with the mask and all that, looking better than Bray Wyatt. Lately, at least,
Yeah, it
creepier.
It is a very similar like package, video
Scary
package.
Stuff. Yeah.
So much to the point where a little kid next to me said something along the lines of, "Oh, it's just like Bray Wyatt."
Yeah.
So,
but at the end of the day, I mean, this was actually probably.
And I'm going to keep bringing up that little kid. I'm sorry to cut you off. I'm going to keep bringing up that little kid because from my wrestling bubble as an adult and being a super mark, I don't have kids. I don't get to experience that, like where that comes from. And so it's cool to see what drives home.
Fascinating.
What drives home to these kids and what doesn't.
Yeah.
Cool.
When I was a kid, it was Randy Savage, and everyone loved Hulk Hogan. And I'm like, nah, man, that's my guy.
When I was a kid, it was Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels. And then when Shawn Michaels made the babyface turn, we were all sort of confused and all that.
So this was a highlight of my night. I'm a big fan of Vic Delicious, actually, from back in the day with other indie companies. He's got tons of mic skills, and he's good in there.
Great match that they won the tag belts in from the Battle Brothers.
Yeah.
Excellent match in the cage.
I wasn't there, but
yeah.
This might have been, aside from obviously the main event, this might have been the highlight of the night for me, even though it ended in a rubbish finish where nobody won or lost.
But I want to see this feud.
Well, yeah. So
basically, Vic Delicious cheap shots Marseglia right off the top, and then they screw around a little bit to the point where they both get counted out.
Right.
And then Vic Delicious beats up TK O'Ryan, who really got some heat.
Yeah,
on Vic.
He was in a walking boot. He's on a crutch, and he's just coming to Vinny Marseglia's aid because he was at ringside with him. They're the Kingdom, and Vic got the boot off, and he put the foot in the chair and
laid him on the table, put the boot in the chair,
real mean.
I.e. like Randy when he's about to do the Garvin stomp with like a chair or whatever. And
or Pillman back in the day with the
definitely Pillman. Yep, that was his spot. And this was without a doubt got some heat with the crowd. The crowd was definitely into this one. And then after a while, everyone was wondering. You asked for it a couple times, and then out comes Taven for the run-in. A little bit of a save. Not too much though, where it didn't leave you satisfied.
You want to see what happens.
You want to see what happens. So now they announced it, and the Kingdom will feud with the Now in Bethany at the next pay-per-view event, if you will. I don't want to call it a special event, special NAW
next show. Yeah,
it's not the next show.
Well, right.
It's the next show in Bethany. Donovan Dijak came out after this, and he was high. No, I'm kidding. I don't know what he was, but it was
funny looking.
Yeah,
it's kind of goofy.
Yeah, Jack Swagger came out with his wife, Christina Hagar, who was a supermodel, looking fantastic.
I think she looked gross, man.
Why?
I don't know, man.
So you're afraid to say that Donovan Dijak looks high, but you think this woman looks absolutely gross?
She's like scary looking.
Okay. Jack Swagger.
Donovan Dijak was I don't know, man. It looked like his eyes weren't really open, right?
At all.
Like it was strange.
Yeah, he was very slow to the ring. And I don't mean to make these accusations. He actually
It's certainly not an accusation. I'm just saying what it looked like.
And he picked it up toward the end of the match. But man, I've been saying now we've been doing this podcast. We talked about it on the way here for over 4 years now.
Over 4 years.
And for over 4 years, I have expressed my dislike for Jack Swagger. He is not good.
He's your Randy Orton.
Okay, but except the fact that Randy's good. And a fucking 15-time champion.
No, it's very different.
But regardless,
no, Swagger's like I just don't get it because he's got the amateur background. He's got all the size. He's got every gift. I mean, that's why he lasted as long as he did in WWE. So
yeah, I mean, they gave this guy time. This match was probably one of the longer matches up to this point.
I had a really funny statement.
You did.
I said, okay, guys, you got 45 minutes, but you can't wrestle.
Exactly. And then I said that he's got a supermodel wife and a gimmick and Kurt Angle's move and
Dutch
Mantell, who couldn't get him over. Dutch Mantell and a supermodel wife should get you over to the moon. And the crowd is not into this. I mean, we were dead. This killed us.
With the exception of the We the People, which is like, yeah, they want to participate.
Yeah, everyone wants to chant We the People. Fine, it's our country's fucking.
But then the finish.
It's the beginning of the preamble.
So the finish, yeah, Dijak hit a low blow, but then the wife gets involved, slaps
in front
Dijak
of the ref.
In front of the referee.
The ref did not have his back turned one iota.
So much cheating by Swagger to finish this match, and at the end, he's pointing at the American flag and starting USA chant.
Right.
You just fucking cheated, bro.
Exactly. So during the whole cheating session, if you will, I thought it was a double turn.
Well, and it could have looked like one. Like, I definitely see it.
If they finished it the right way, it could have been a double turn.
And me trying to justify things and be like, well, maybe this. I guess you could kind of say Dijak cheated first with the low blow so that, that washes Swagger's chicanery, but no, man, come on.
Right.
Then you point at the flag and start a USA chant. Come on.
Yeah. At this point, I really thought that the crowd could have used an intermission.
There was no intermission.
There was no intermission in this show. Usually in indie shows, in even WWE house shows, there's always an intermission.
Something. Let people go to the bathroom.
Right. But in this case, there wasn't, and there was a little bit of time in between. But Robbie E came out here, roughed up the ring announcer a little bit, and then brought out. I'm sorry,
and the ring announcer was local favorite Kurt Adonis, Kurt Adonis, was doing the ring announcing tonight.
Cool.
Which made me think maybe there would be like an announcer bump or something because he's a worker. But
yeah, and I thought maybe they were trying to set up something between him and Robbie E, who works for NEW a lot, but it didn't appear that way. No. What was the name of the tag team that Robbie E brought out?
He brought out the Amazing Graysons, who are very young, very able. They do a lot of high spot stuff, flipping, and they're very good too.
Sure,
very charismatic.
I enjoyed the story they told tonight, and I thought
but they came out as heels, which I did not expect.
Yeah, and with that heel persona that they brought out, it was like a little bit more like based off of Robbie E and the Jersey thing.
Sure,
they got a Jersey sucks chant going on and the whole thing. They fought Adrenaline Rush, some mainstays in NW. And it was a good tag match.
Popular among most NEW crowds.
It was a good tag match, but I will go back to the fact that the crowd was tired for this point. Jack Swagger took all the fucking air out of the building.
Ryback saying, I'm not going to wrestle. And then Swagger coming out and, that match really delivering.
Wrecking Ball brought it back after the Ryback thing.
Sure.
But then, and Vic Delicious thing. But then, the air was pretty much out of the building for this tag match, but it was a good match. It was a good match.
They did well.
Yeah.
And actually, Adrenaline Rush was pretty over.
Oh yeah, definitely. Heard some stuff. Heard some crowd noise.
And Robbie came out at the end after the match and challenged him, and then they just punched him, knocked him out.
Yeah. And then one of the main attractions of this particular card was Bethel's own Brian Anthony former NEW champion. He was the top
very long reigning.
He was the
NEW
top guy
champ.
in NEW for a long time. He got the moniker Indy Cena because he's a great babyface. He's that good at it, and he did. He had a heel turn throughout there, but then he's been away for the last 8 months due to 3 herniated discs in his neck, right at the top of his spine. But this event tonight was to benefit the Connecticut Cancer Foundation, and Brian Anthony was sort of part of that. He met a child by the name of what was it? Danger Dan was this child's wrestling name.
Nice.
And Brian Anthony helped him out, did a good thing. Danger Dan is actually doing well. He's been cleared of a lot of the leukemia that was in his body. And so
saw a lot of green shirts.
Dude, he is over with this NEW crowd, without a doubt. He always has been. Tonight, being a local boy and having his return after 9 months was really cool. He left it up to a very big mystery to see who he was actually, in fact, going to wrestle. So the Battle Brothers come out, who are a great tag team, couple times NEW champions. They just lost the belt to Now.
Also, big time over in NEW crowds.
Also,
love these guys. Go
absolutely,
bananas.
and they can go. Let me tell you, those guys can work. But they came out, talked a bunch of smack, said that Brian Anthony hightailed it out of here after the autograph section in his big green Jeep. And if you guys don't know Brian Anthony, this guy lives the gimmick. He showed up to the radio station today at 7 o'clock in the morning with a bright green Brian Anthony Army shirt, bright green bandana, and his bright green Jeep that's got his logo on the doors. This guy is living it. So, and I respect that too. By the way, he looks great for having been out of the ring for 8 months. He's definitely not been out of the gym.
No, he and everything he did in the match was spot on.
Yeah,
no ring rust that I saw. I mean, I'm any judge, but
he's gonna be sore.
I'll bet.
But anyway, he had a killer entrance. So right when the crowd was like, "Is this guy actually really gonna show up?" The lights hit dark. And the back garage opens in the back of the PAL building, and all you see are these crazy those rack floodlights, those LED rack floodlights on the top and the bottom, and the green Jeep drives into the PAL building in Danbury, and Brian Anthony comes out, hits the ring, had a very, very entertaining match with Christian. Why do I keep saying Christian? It must be Christian. Chris Battle,
the Red Lion. The one who can still go right now because the other one was injured, but they both took their bumps. This was practically a handicap match.
Yeah.
But very, very entertaining.
It was practically a handicap match. The ref could have probably done a better job of keeping the one who was injured out of the ring, because even when they did the whole Brian Anthony's not coming out. Let's start the count out. But the other guy was still in the ring. Yeah, little things that.
Yeah, he was all over the ring for the whole match. Anthony got plenty of moves on both of them. It was, but you know what? I've always been a fan of ECW. We know this. I like the ref kind of letting them go.
Okay.
And if it gets serious, it's okay, dude, I'm going to disqualify you. Stop. I like a little leeway.
Okay.
Especially, for a hometown favorite,
Sure.
But,
okay.
But
I feel the opposite.
Okay.
Because I hate the Patriots, and that's how they work.
Ooh.
But either way.
And you know what? If we alienate those listeners, fine, because the Patriots are fucking jerks.
Good match from Brian Anthony. Welcome back to NEW. Very cool. Very cool stuff. Then we got to the main event. And I was tired.
I was exhausted.
I was very tired here.
And Wrecking Ball was searching for a size L or XL. He has a new shirt that says Wreck 'em All, and it's the Kill 'em All logo from Metallica. And I told him on Facebook, I'm like, dude, make sure I have one because I'm going to buy it. Fucking couldn't find one of either size.
Then what other shirt did you get?
Oh, I got a TKO Best Around tank top and a Flip Gordon tank top. I got to get tank tops because it's summer.
And you got shoulders. I'm kidding. I'm not kidding about the shoulders. I'm kidding because I'm busting your chops. But I picked up the Cody Rhodes Bullet Club Nightmare shirt because I'm Mark.
Yeah. We talked on this podcast about how awkward it would be to wear a shirt with guns crossed with an American flag on them that say Bullet Club.
And then I bought one. So anyway, Cody Rhodes versus Ricochet was the main event of this card, hence the Future of Flight moniker for this particular event. And my God, this match delivered.
They were really good.
Not only was it like, and everyone accuses anyone who's a detractor of the sort of high-flying style, especially of that style of like Ricochet and or Will Ospreay's, says that there is no psychology. This match had all of the high-flying and all of the psychology. I credit that to Cody a little bit. He really carried the match with the psychology in it.
Something that I see in Ricochet and also not Manic. What's his name now?
Suicide? Jesus Christ. TJ Perkins. I'm sorry.
Yes. But in both their faces is this kind of like, you can see in their eyes that they're thinking ahead to what's coming. You know, and they almost carry themselves like we're just getting to the next move. I see that in them, kind of.
Sure.
And
that's what the detractors say.
I saw
that's the gripe that the
less
detractors
of
have.
it in Ricochet today.
Cool. And like my reasoning for
the guy can do shit that I would never be able to do on my best day. But.
And if to the common viewer or listener to this, you would say, well, what's wrong with planning out what you're going to do because that's the best possible show? No, that's not how wrestling works. I know this because I was a DJ, and DJing works in very much the same way. You can't, sometimes you just can't, sometimes it's great. You can have a mix show, and you could be the best mixer, and you could do all these crazy tricks. But if you don't got your crowd, you're nothing. And in that way, if you're choreographed and you're not reading the crowd, you could lose it very quickly, and it's not good. This match was not that.
Yeah, no.
And it was... from top to bottom, very good. I think the match total only went about 15 minutes, 20 minutes tops.
Well, the crowd was pretty beat.
We were tired.
At that point.
I mean, at this point, it was, past 10:30, and this is a show that had a 7:30 bell time. But some great, great spots. At one point, Ricochet hit a crossroads. That
was nice.
Yeah, Cody did some flying himself, which I didn't expect him to. As I mentioned on this week's podcast, the flagship podcast, that I thought Cody was going to do a lot of ground stuff. Jesus, my voice is like done.
That's fine. Yeah.
But a lot of ground stuff, a lot of things like that. But no, he did his fair share of flying as well. Hit a couple disaster kicks, and he did some stuff that was like he had some ground stuff, but it was also like a lot of striking from Cody.
Sure.
That I didn't usually see, but great, really laid it in. They both really laid it in. I credit that from their time in Japan.
Sure.
That was some really good shit.
There was a really cool Ricochet was on the top, and Cody did like a jump up like Angle does for a belly to belly, and he did an arm drag that was just gorgeous.
He's done that a lot. Well, very cool. Yeah. That was all good spots. I actually got that arm drag on my Instagram page. If you want to go look at that, I took a little boomerang of it. Then I also took a boomerang of a shooting star that Ricochet went to hit. But because I'm such a mark, I did the boomerang to put it on Instagram, and I missed the finish because the finish was the next spot. Oh. So how did this match finish?
No, it was a crossroads.
Cool. So Cody hits the crossroads. This guy's a master at working the crowd.
I think he's, this is going to be cheesy as fuck. But, like, watching as a fan and having seen him he won the NEW title before he won the Ring of Honor title, people, he's our, like, champion.
Right. So
fans.
So he brings the Ring of Honor championship.
Yeah.
Doesn't wear it. He's wearing the NEW title.
Which, in my opinion, at least, is definitely the respect for the company you're working for at the time.
Without a doubt. Hands off doesn't show off the Ring of Honor title.
No.
As a matter of fact, he mentioned in the interview that we had on our flagship podcast that he brings the Ring of Honor title because the people at the autograph sessions like to see it. Mm-hmm. But he brought it out, didn't flash it, handed it off to the ref immediately, and then did the parade around the ring with the NEW title. Yeah. Very cool. Very cool stuff. So all in all, I give this show, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10 because it was in my hometown. I am a Danbury resident. It is about 5 minutes from my house. Got Cody Rhodes on my podcast because of it.
Yeah, all right.
And I got some nice FaceTime with some other guys around the NEW thing, and I'm looking forward to a relationship building with them. So for that and all the things, despite Ryback, despite Dijak, who I always really liked Dijak. I think what it comes down to
wasn't his fault.
What it comes down to is that he is a terrible match for Thwagger. Because
you know what I always thought about Dijak watching him in Ring of Honor was like, that guy's fucking huge, right?
Right.
Swagger's as tall as he is.
Yep.
So
and bigger.
Yeah.
So it was like, All right, cool. So overall, I gave it an 8 out of 10. How about you?
I really hadn't put much thought into it.
I didn't either until I said 8 out of 10.
I don't know if maybe I'm just a dick. I don't know if I can go to 8, man.
Okay.
I mean, I could go match by match and give matches on the card 8, but I can't give
me
the
a
whole
fucking
event.
number, bro. Jesus. 6 out of 10?
I would have to give it a 6 out of 10, man.
Okay.
There were stretches where nothing was going on.
You're right.
That intermission would have really helped.
It would have. So with some beer.
Well,
But
right.
We talked about that in the flagship.
Yeah, and I'm not really drinking. So, yeah, it's like I loved Ricochet versus Cody like you would expect.
What a match.
Fantastic.
What a match.
And Flip and Bacon were great. The Kingdom and Vic Delicious were great. Everything else was pretty good. No complaints. I have no complaints.
Except for the gimmick infringement.
No, I don't complain about that. I love it. Because when I do it better, you'll see it.
Very cool. Thank you for listening to this special edition of The Rope Break. We broke down NEW Future of Flight from the Danbury PAL building. For Shockmaster Grizz, I am JoeMaga, signing out.